Welcome back, guys. Put your paintbrushes down, take your pins out, because today's going to be a good one, I promise. Today we are setting the ignition timing and also fitting the spec distributor. It may get technical, so make sure you're paying attention. Let's go and take a look.
Are you listening? Damn.
So then, first things first, why, if our car was running the other week, are we setting our ignition time in? Fantastic question. Because the orientation of our distributor. You've got a flat section at the bottom of the distributor body that on most people's cars on the internet seems to sit about 45 degrees. Ours sat at about 90 degrees, about horizontal. And we thought, that's not right, we need to move it. Now before we did, we put a timing light on the engine and we were miles away, despite the fact the engine was running pretty well. But we moved our distributor around, we still couldn't get our timing marks. We then thought we were a tooth out, so we moved round a tooth. Then we got our timing marks correct, and now the car is struggling to start. So, let's start again. Let's take you through the process from start to finish and see if we can get it spot on this time and get it running lovely. Now then, first things first, we need to set the engine to the right place. Now, because of the way the engine works, suck, squeeze, bang, blow, the piston is at the top twice. Now there's two ways to do it. First of all, remove your spark plug so that you can turn your engine over a little bit easier. And with the rocker cover on, because you don't need to see inside of it if you're doing it this way, get a friend to put their finger over number 1 plug. Now rotate the engine clockwise, and when the piston's coming up, you're either going to get compression and push that finger away, or you're going to get nothing. What you need is number 1 piston coming up and it pushing their finger away, compression. You then need to carry on until you get just before top dead center. We have got a mark that we've put on at 6 degrees and 10 degrees. We're going at 6 degrees. Now first of all, we need to also understand what's happening inside the engine. Now you can see this if you haven't got a handy friend with a finger over their hole, over your hole on your engine, just to make that clear. You can remove your rocker cover and you can see your rockers, inlet and exhaust opening and closing. Suck, squeeze, bang, blow. Now on the suck, the piston is going down in the bore, the inlet valve is opening, air and fuel mixture is drawn in. Squeeze, this is the part that we're looking at. Piston is coming up, both valves are closed to gain compression inside that chamber. Piston gets all the way up to the top. Ignition, 6 degrees before the top, right at the top, but 6 degrees before. Bang. You get your explosion, piston is forced back down, and then blow, piston comes up for the second time. This time your exhaust valve opens and the exhaust gases are drawn out. So the piston can be coming up to compress, or it can be coming up with the exhaust valve open. So if you had your rocker cover off, you could see your valves coming up and down. So you want your number 1 piston coming up the bore with both valves closed to gain compression. So if your exhaust valve is rocking or open, you know you're on the wrong stroke and you need to keep going round until you get up to the top. Now on your 104, on the damper on the front of the crankshaft, you'll have a very small hole. That hole is top dead center. So we're at that stage now, we're on our mark, 6 degrees before top dead center, so now it's time to fit our distributor. Let's pull you around so you can have a little look. Now then, the distributor, where the magic happens. It's not complicated magic, but it has got to happen in the right sequence, otherwise she won't run. What have we got inside of our distributor cap? We've got a rotor arm. Now, what we need to do, have a look. Oh, by the way, before you touch your distributor, if your engine's running, make sure this doesn't happen. Because as we said the other week, it really, really hurts. We have got a rotor arm here, which will pick up and distribute the spark from your coil, which, if you didn't already guess it from that video, is up to 50,000 volts. If we pop him back on, we need the rotor arm to be pointing at number 1. Now if we just pop it off, he's just off. He's just before. So what we'll do, pull that one out of the way. We will pull the distributor out And as you can see, when you pull it out, it pulls the rotor arm anti-clockwise. So you need to take a note of the point that it leaves the camshaft and then try and go around another tooth, because you're meshing it into a gear that's cut onto the camshaft. So when we come round like that, that's probably a bit too far. And that one, hopefully, is going to be about right. So I would say that is where we need to be. So now, in theory, with the points opening, just about to spark, we're 6 degrees before top dead. Now I know I'm being very specific talking about 6 degrees. As long as you're close enough, you should get it to run. And if you can get it to run, you can put the timing light on, which I'll talk you through later on, when it's running off the choke and up to temperature at a steady idle, and then we can fine tune the moving of the body. We can actually see when we're adjusting the spark in those parameters, line it up with our timing marks, and then we should be able to get it spot on. So we've come round a little bit. Now what we'll also do is we'll pop the rotor arm off. If your rotor arm is fouled in any way, don't use an abrasive. Top tip, find yourself a tyre and then just rub this on the tyre, and that will clean any deposits off of it without taking any meat off of your rotor arm. And there you go. Little wipe on the tyre sidewall and she's like new. Right, let's just remove that rotor cap a second. That's all set up and I'm happy that it's in the correct place. It may be a little bit hard to pick up on the camera, but bear with me. Now it's very hard to predict at what point when you're turning that body that the points are going to open. I found it was easier to go past the points so the points are open and then pull the body back so you can see the points closing, and then just as they're about to close, you're in the right place. Nip it up and then put your cap back on. Right. Timing light time. We've started the engine and we've got it up to full operating temperature, and we've disconnected our vacuum advance so that it doesn't interfere with the timing that we're setting. Positive and negative, which is power to the timing light, and then your clamp. Now the clamp's going to clamp around number 1 plug lead, like so, and then when the engine's running you press the trigger. Every time you get a pulse of spark down number 1 lead, it will emit a light. And that will pulse, 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 pulse. And if you turn the lights down a little bit in the garage and press the trigger, you can shine this at the pulley on the crankshaft, and as it flashes you'll be able to see where your marks are on your crankshaft pulley. Now this is going to be very difficult to film, but I will try my best. Now we'll get this one up and running, and like I say, we'll shine it on there, and if we're off, then we need to rotate our distributor to compensate. If you pull the distributor cap off, when you turn the body you can see what you're doing, which will, by turning the body, will dictate at what point the spark is being distributed. So if you're at 15 degrees before top dead center, the spark is occurring too early, you need to pull it back. If you're at top dead center, you need to pull it back to the 6 degrees. So by rotating the body, you can dictate that. And it's a case of fine tuning, forwards and backwards until you get it where you want. And then when you're sorted, vacuum advance can be reconnected, and then you're done. So there we go guys, timing set. Now, between you and me, we have had cold start issues, but I've just spent the last week stripping the carbs to bits. We found a few issues with the carbs and I've rebuilt them, set them up, and I've tuned them. And I've put a little video together So next week we will be coming at you with how to set up and basic tune your twin SU carbs. As always guys, if you enjoyed today's video and it was helpful, please give it a thumbs up, and if you want to see more from us, don't forget to subscribe. We will be seeing you very soon. As always, take care. I'm too tall for the camera. What a great day.